The following are the various stages of emotions during my consumption of this book.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Hi everybody, nice to meet you. My name is Sue, and today I'll be talking about All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. You get it? This was a fantastic book. I think it's one of the best books I've read this year. Granted, I've only read like 5 so far. I know that's kind of shameful, but yes, I was so affected by this book. It made me so emotional. This is a historical fiction set in World War II, and it's basically about a French girl who's blind and concurrently a boy who is German, an orphan boy who is German. The story is kind of slice of life with them basically meeting new people and new characters along the way, and so their paths kind of intersect and they intertwine and they affect one another. So it's just very interesting to see how their lives progress, because you just get so endeared to these characters and you're just like, I want to find out more. And the best thing about this book is probably the writing. Anthony Doerr's writing is very, very beautiful, very poetic, but at the same time it's not too poetic, because you know how sometimes when it gets too poetic, you're reading it and you're just like,
Merilo walks to Paris in the rain.
yeah, so it's not like that. It's pretty good. So the characters in this book are just so well written. They're very fleshed out, they're very well rounded. I really love the POVs of the two main characters, which would be Werner, who is the orphan boy, and Marie-Laure, who is the French girl who is blind. I genuinely enjoy both their perspectives. It's like, you know how there are some books where you only really like a certain character's perspective and you only want to read their perspective, but no, it's not one of those books. It's one of those books where you love both characters and you love the relationships both of these characters develop with their respective people that they encounter. So yeah, I also really enjoy that the parental figures in this aren't annoying. Like in a lot of books, I feel like parental figures can appear useless or like prevent the plot from moving forward or the story from happening, but I think this is definitely a book where you look up to the parental figures, which I really adore. I really enjoy when I can look up to a parental figures. So it's like these are role models and you're like, that's a role model I wish I had in my life. Okay. Not just that, I think all the side characters also were adequately fleshed out. They all had their motivations and it was good altogether all around. Even though I've heard some comments that the German characters, like the Nazi characters, could have been a little bit more fleshed out, but I don't think that's the point of the book, and I don't think that's the point that Anthony Doerr was trying to make. He doesn't venture much into the whole, in a sense, horrors of war. A lot of the Jewish genocide side of things are really not very much touched on. It's really just about this German guy and this French girl and what they experience in their everyday life, which would be, it's an interesting perspective to explore, because you wouldn't normally explore, because when you learn things in history and when you learn stuff in school about history, you don't learn about these people's like individual lives. You just kind of see what the overall scope is and you see the horrors of war and stuff. And in this book you really get to explore how it affects the individual person, and even if that individual person isn't directly confronting a lot of the deaths and all that, even though there's glimpses of it in this book as well. So it's not like, of course it's wartime in Europe, they'll definitely see it. I think what I really, really enjoyed about this book was just the fact that I felt so comforted when I read this book. I felt so warm and fuzzy inside. And I know that's kind of weird to say, because you would consider some of the things that happen in this book kind of tragic, but this is what I felt like when I read the book. It felt like I was being told a sad story while simultaneously being like wrapped in a fuzzy warm blanket and like being like comforted and coddled as I was being told this sad story. And it's definitely because of the warm and fuzzy blanket that is Anthony Doerr's beautiful, silky, smooth writing, and you just flow through it like butter. And that is just, if anything that's worth reading this book, is the way that he writes. His prose is, yes. But I must say, the thing that I really appreciated, and this is very much on hindsight after I read the book, was the metaphor of light. So the thing about reading this book was that I didn't go in thinking it was like a literary book and I had to really analyze all the metaphors, and I really wasn't paying attention to any of that. I was just reading it for the fun of it, and that was completely fine. Like, I didn't need to have to analyze and appreciate all that in order to enjoy the book, which was, I think, a really, really good thing. So basically I enjoyed it because of the writing, as I already said, and basically you just love the characters on a very human level. You connect with it, which is something that I really enjoy whenever a book evokes emotion in me. Is the best thing. So yeah, but other than that, I also really enjoy this like really kind of intellectual and academic side to it, which I only really appreciated after I read a few reviews, after I watched like a few reviews, and I watched Anthony Doerr's interview about the book. I really started to appreciate all the things that he tried to do with it. So I think you can go into it not knowing these things, but you can also like know some of these things and then go into it and try to appreciate it as you read along with it. So I really enjoyed specifically the metaphor of light. Yes, I think it's seen most obviously through loll's perspective, because she literally is experiencing the not seeing of the light. Hey, what's so beautiful about Anthony Doerr's writing is that you get to experience her interactions with the world in such a different way that a normal sighted character would be able to experience it, right? And a lot of it was through the use of color, which was super interesting, because if you think about it, color is just light that we cannot see. It's just like, what? Throughout a lot of the descriptions in this book, through her perspective, you get to see how she experiences a lot of things through color. So her memory of her mother is very much of a bright white light, which is like beautiful imagery for how she experiences her mother to be. And her dad is like an amalgamation of different colors because of probably how well she knows him. She has different experiences with him, so that's super interesting, and I think it plays so well with the idea that she is blind, but at the same time it relates to the audience, because we all have this sense of synesthesia, which is basically the thing that allows you to kind of assign different senses to each other. So if you think, let's say you think sharp, and then what color do you think of? To me, I think of the color red or like white when I think of the word sharp. So yeah, I think it's just super smart the way he does it. It makes it so much easier to relate to her POV and like see things the way that she does, because in a sense we can experience that even as people who are sighted. So really great. But I think on the other hand, for Werner, the light that he doesn't see is different. It's more of an internal struggle, and the light that he needs to see in himself, in humanity in a sense, is definitely more metaphorical, and he has to see the wrongness of what he is doing and like what his life is truly supposed to be aimed to be. I also really like the way that he experiences a kind of like blindness when he's in the cellar. So it's not really a spoiler, like in the first few pages you get to see that he is in it, but like that he is stuck in a cellar. The darkness of the cellar, it kind of just shows even more that they are connected, that their stories are connected, because he gets to experience that not seeing of the light, just like Marie-Laure. I also very much think that Vota, which is his sister, is like the conscience in his head and the light that he kind of needs to walk towards, in a sense. That's to me. I didn't read that anywhere. To me, that's what I want it to be, so whatever. But yeah, so basically for me, the light that he cannot see is the error of the Nazi way, in a sense. Yeah, and it really comes through in his interactions with his friend, and like when he interacts with Marie-Laure later on. And at last I see the light, and it's like the sky is blue. For anybody who said I was talented in the last one, no. And of course, the overarching idea, the very reason why Anthony Doerr wrote this book in the first place, was because he was inspired by radio waves and the idea that there are things and there are light waves that connect us, even though we cannot see them. And it's a very remarkable human invention. It's a very remarkable way that humans learned how to communicate. I think I just like the idea of light as a metaphor in general. It can encompass so many things. It can encompass darkness, shadows, blah 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 blah. Is good. And I think it was this overarching like idea of like us all being connected that was really the reason why I felt so good while reading this. I really love books that remind me of our humanity, and that's what like good literature does, right? Through all these fantastical elements or whatever element is in a book, the thing that really makes a book stand out is its reference to humanity and the way that humans work. So it's like while reading this, I really got the sense that our humanity is the thing that links us together, even as we hurt one another, and also like in our decision to like just don't, you know? And it really basically brings out the ideas of fate and choice, and like just sometimes that we just don't have a choice and that we have to accept our fates. So, and these are all like invisible workings of the universe, which is another thing that is like all the light we cannot see. Like we cannot see the future ahead of us, we cannot see how our actions affect another. This metaphor. And I also really appreciated the closure that this book kind of brings at the end, because a lot of the times you read a book and it kind of just ends there, like when the problem is resolved or whatever. And the thing is that the problem is kind of resolved, and some people say that the story kind of just keeps going, which is like fine, which is something that personally I'm okay with, because I like it when the story extends just a little bit, just so that you can see where they end up. Like I just like seeing where characters end up. I don't care if it really is relevant to the story, because I'm very character driven in my reading. So yeah, overall 5 out of 5, beautiful story. And yep, you basically start reading it and you dive into it because you like, I don't know, the fancy French historical fiction, and you love it because writing, because relationships, because Friedrich. You'll understand if you read it. Just read it. Just read it. You know you want to. You know you want to. Oh yeah, and there's also like this diamond thing, like, okay, that I didn't really care all that much about, but it's fine. It moved the plot forward. I mean, there was this weird, creepy German dude, and I guess it's about like the idea of fate and all that, blah blah blah, but it's fine. It's part of the story, it's fine. Anthony Doerr's writing, I don't care. Oh, and I love this so much. I also kind of wrote like a small poem because I just wanted to be poetic like Anthony Doerr was, so I'm just gonna read it now. She sees in color, he works with wire, in them a curiosity, a slow burning desire. To seek the comfort of family, of hopes and dreams, to see the world around them not burst at the seams. For the losses they face and the friendships they found, their humanity connects them, it makes them bound. For even as fate and choice dictates how they be, we still cannot fathom beyond all the light we cannot see. Thank you for watching the video. I hope everybody's doing alright, and I hope that we all keep staying conscious and keep being aware of the humanity that connects us, and spread the love all the time. Spread the love, spread the love. That's not a song, I just made that up. I should end the video right now. I just like looking at myself. Kidding. Bye.